Oh,
Okay. Hi, Monte. How are you?
Doing well, Nora. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. So let's start off with you won the final HOH and you chose to take Taylor to the final two. How confident were you that you had the votes to win when you made that decision?
I felt pretty confident, Nora. I thought that based off of the conversations I've had with the jury, there were a lot of super fans in that jury, a lot of people who appreciated game players in the past, valued your, what's on your resume, which big threats you've gone now, how many times you've been on the block. And that's what I based my whole decision off of. So I did feel pretty confident going into that. But like I've been telling everybody, I have completely overlooked the story and the path that Taylor has endured throughout this entire season, and I've become even more aware of that after getting out of the house. So, yeah, that was the basis of my decision.
Awesome. And then looking back, do you regret taking Taylor to final two? And do you think you could have won against Turner?
Well, I don't regret it because the information that I had was all that I had, so I can't go back and say I would have done something differently unless I have different information. But I will say that people have told me I would have won against Turner. So that does make me think if I knew that, of course, I would have picked him. But there was just no way of me knowing that at the time. I thought with Turner, people would compare our games very closely because we've been in the same alliances. He's made bigger moves in the game than I have, but I've just won slightly more competition. So I thought it would have been a harder argument to pitch against the jury.
Right, right. And then the vote on finale night was 8-1. How surprised were you by the jury votes, and whose vote surprised you the most?
Well, yeah, no, I was definitely surprised. I thought it was interesting how Turner was the only one who voted in my direction, and he clearly wasn't a part of those round tables and whatever was being discussed beforehand. But yeah, I think the most surprising votes were definitely Terrence. I know how he's felt about Taylor throughout the entire season, or at least what he's expressed. Joseph was one that I felt pretty surprised about. Kyle was also a pretty surprising vote too. Um, I'd say Indy as well was a pretty surprising vote. Like, I think most of them were surprising outside of maybe Michael and Brittany.
Right. And your relationship with Taylor in the house was kind of a roller coaster this season. You wanted her out in the beginning, and then you were allies, and then the showmance towards the end. Where does your relationship with Taylor stand now?
Yeah, so as of right now, we're friends. I think we're both, and her probably more than I am, both getting more perspective on what's happened throughout the season, what's been said by people about us, about her. So that's something that I think we're getting overwhelmed with at the moment. So that's been a lot of this first week. But as of right now, I think we've had an initial conversation to just talk about what she has seen throughout the season. And I've had an opportunity to apologize for whatever has rubbed her the wrong way or whatever I said that was offensive. And we've gotten to that point, but even still, I mean, even that was 15 minutes because we had to run to some PR thing right after, so it's just so busy that it's been hard to like really sit down and get some one-on-one time. But yeah, as of right now, I'd say we're friends.
Awesome. So you made a few comments throughout the season about Taylor being cold. Towards the beginning of the season, you called her personality unattractive. There was a pretty big disconnect in the house between how the viewers saw Taylor and how the house saw Taylor. Looking back with what you know now, do you think that your early opinion of Taylor was shaped by her actions or the way that people were talking about her in the house?
Yeah, it's still hard to say because I remember what I felt at that time. And I would also say that a lot of what I was saying was also jaded by a lie that was, planted in my head around Taylor pretty much giving me misinformation. So unfortunately, in that moment, out of me being emotional and me being upset, I probably said some things that I shouldn't have said about Taylor. And but I still haven't seen all of that yet. I'm giving that my time. But yeah, I mean, seeing the difference between how viewers felt. Obviously, there were DR sessions that I haven't seen. There were scenes, in the house that I haven't gotten the chance to witness, but I've heard about now. So yeah, I think I definitely had the wrong impression initially, and it was just based off of misinformation, unfortunately. So you do the best that you can while you're in that house to make sure that you can survive. But unfortunately, I think I just put trust into the wrong people based off of logical things like, okay, I've spent more time talking to this person than this person. So I just feel forced to believe one of them, that I had more, experience with. But unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. So.
Right. Thank you. And then looking back on your Big Brother game, what
Mhm.
game move are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? That's a good question. Well, let's see. I won. Man, I think winning that veto against Michael. My God, I mean, I thought there was no chance that we were beating that man in anything. I mean, he had beat us in a lot of competitions by a huge margin. I thought that if I had some sort of competition where I could catch a ball or something, I would have an advantage. I did not think that it would be untangling myself with a cable around this metal structure that I would be the one to beat him in. So, fortunately, he ran out really hard and his cable snapped off of his belt. That was an opportunity for me to jump in and win that veto. So that would be my proudest move.
Yeah, that was, I think, the most exciting week in the season. It was so much fun to watch.
Oh, madness.
And then last question, if they ever did another all-star season of Big Brother, would you consider playing again?
Oh man, that's tough. I think being so fresh out of the house, it's hard for me to say absolutely yes, but I would never close off any opportunity to do it. So I would consider it. I would consider it, but I'm not going to be jumping up and down for it right now as we speak. Just getting out of 4 months in isolation.
That's fair. Well, thank you so much, Monty, for chatting with me.
Thank you, Nora. Take care.
You too.